once again, this is Dr. Phil Fernandes, the president of the Institute of Biblical Defense, senior pastor of Trinity Bible Fellowship. I also teach at Cross Point High School and Veritas International University. Do some lecturing for Shepherd's Bible College here in Bremerton, Washington as well. And in today's program, what I'd like to talk about, I wish I didn't have to talk about it, but the school shootings. What should we do? Something needs to be done. It's pretty obvious something needs to be done. Now, having said that, when we say something needs to be done, automatically Americans are programmed to, because of what I call deification of the state, where we look to the government, big government, for all the answers. So we think, oh, something must be done. Oh, the government's got to do something. Well, the government could do a little bit here and there. I don't think the federal government's got anything to do here, but maybe state and local governments might have something to do. But first off, if you're going to make schools gun-free zones, I mean, we know how to make gun-free zones protected, safe. Okay, use the kind of the Soviet Union model, police state model. Look at our airports. I feel pretty safe in our airports, even though we're not allowed to. Even if you got a concealed weapons permit, you can't carry a weapon into an airport. So we know how to protect the president, senators, congressmen, Supreme Court justices, movie stars. We know how to protect courthouses. Okay. So if you want the schools to be safe places, if you're going to make it a soft target, a gun-free zone, look, if we protect our congressmen, we got to love our children even more. We got to protect them. And so at the bigger schools, there ought to be gun detectors, metal detectors at the entrance. There ought to be a whole team of security guards. I mean, this is what it's come down to in America. We've thrown God out. Our culture, until our culture comes back to Jesus, we can't be trusted. And so in this context, if you want to make our school, rather than punish, what are we going to do? Punish, take away the right to bear arms and punish all the law-abiding citizens? No, I mean, the most unsafe places, the most dangerous places, the highest violent crime rate are the big cities. And they're pretty much gun-free zones because it's almost impossible to have your right to bear arms protected in the big cities like Chicago or Baltimore or Newark, New Jersey or New York City or wherever else, or L.A. But the bad guys don't obey the rules. So if you outlaw guns, only the outlaws will have guns. It's been said time and time again. And another cliche, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. So if the schools can afford it, school districts, they ought to get professional security. If they can't afford it, there's plenty of teachers on school campuses that are veterans. I did 3 years United States Marine Corps. I did 10 years of law enforcement and security at a nuclear sub base. Okay, so I got 13 years experience of Marine Corps and law enforcement and security. You'd think I don't know how to handle a firearm? So there's teachers, and I've got a concealed weapons permit. So basically, just get the teachers the proper training, and those who feel led to carry, let them get a concealed weapons permit. Let them carry. If your school can afford it, you can hire security. Armed security, and then we can make it safe. Now, the only other options to that, you disarm the American public, these shootings are going to go on. A guy's not going to say, well, I was going to shoot up a school, but now they made it against the law, so I got to go turn my AR-15 in. Look, the laws are not going to help in that area. You're just going to disable the good guys from shooting back. By the way, we always talk about if it just saves one life, if it just saves one life. Yeah, we never count all the lives that are saved by people with concealed weapons permit displaying their firearms and stopping a robbery in progress or a potential murder or assault. And this happens thousands of times a year and it never gets reported. Okay? By the way, America is probably the most violent country on the planet Earth when you look at all the violent crime we have, and a lot of it's gun crime. But that's only when you factor in the no-gun zones, the schools, and even more important to that fact is the big cities. If you just take the big cities and the schools out of the picture, the gun-free zones, America becomes one of the safest, if not the safest place on the planet Earth. So we don't need gun control. We need the people control, and the only way we're going to control the bad people. Yes, there are some people that are so have such mental problems, mental handicaps that they should not be able to carry weapons. But we need a rigorous process to find that out. Now, the kid in Florida, 39 times law enforcement officers visited his house. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I could tell you, the kid's got issues. Okay? So, yeah, in extreme cases, mentally disabled people that are prone to violence or talk about doing violent things, yeah, you can take away their right to bear arms. But we got to be careful that, a guy's wife leaves him, he has a nervous breakdown, goes to a mental ward in a hospital for 3 days, and they put him on some medication, and then he starts doing better for the next 10 years. I don't want to see that guy lose his right to bear arms. So who's going to determine who the people are? So if there's strict guidelines that even the NRA would agree with, then I'd be on board with something like that. Also, the background checks. We got convicted felons who illegally buy weapons from gun dealers who run the background check, but I guess the states just were too lazy to put these guys in the system. So if we just obey the laws that are already on the books, take the soft target schools, turn them into hard targets by providing security, I think we'll be just fine. And but this idea that we're going to just disarm law-abiding citizens, let me tell you, and I get sick and tired even hearing about it on supposedly conservative radio programs and television programs. I get sick and tired. Nobody needs an AR-15 for hunting. Let me tell you, just read George Washington. I think it was his first inaugural address, where he talked about that the people should be armed enough to keep their government in check. So having an AR-15 is not for hunting. It's for preventing your government from becoming tyrants. Now, that sounds crazy. Okay, well then George Washington's a nut. Okay? Tommy Jefferson then is a nut. Tommy Jefferson said when the government fears the people, you have liberty. When the people fear the government, you have tyranny. And so we got to decide which side we're on and what it is we're going to do. But I think you could protect the schools. Now, so here's the three options that we have that will actually work. Number one, provide the kind of security we have in the airports. Have that kind of security in our schools. Okay, or if you can't afford that, at least allow some of the teachers to carry concealed weapons, and then throw a sign up instead of saying no gun zone. Throw a sign up says that this campus is protected by armed security. Okay, because most of the guys that are performing these things, in fact, all of them are cowards. They don't want to be shot back at. That's why they go to a soft target, not a hard fortified target. Number two, the best way to do it all is that you just change the culture. You don't change the culture by changing laws and changing leaders. You change the culture by changing hearts through the preaching of the gospel. Let me tell you, everybody wants revival, but without repentance, there will be no revival. And I don't even see repentance in the church, let alone in the culture at large. And then number three, here's a way you can make no more school shootings. Just stop having schools. Have all parents homeschool their kids. Okay, now people say, "Oh, that's nuts," and this and blah blah blah. Hey, look, we got to do something to save the lives of the kids. So the ball's in your court. I'm Phil Fernandes. I don't have much say. Okay, but you make the decision. But you're not going to protect the schools by taking firearms away from law-abiding citizens. Okay, you're going to protect the schools by either armed security at the schools, a tremendous heart change in our culture, which I'm not holding my breath on that one. I don't see repentance or revival coming anytime soon. Or just get rid of the schools and everybody homeschools. Now, I'm not saying that's where I'm voting, but at least nobody's going to go around shooting up homeschools because there's only like 2 or 3 kids. So we got some decisions to make, but I don't believe infringing on the rights of citizens to keep their government in check and to keep their government from tyranny. I don't think that's the answer. God bless you.